Hello everyone, Moonrider here, and in this video we're taking a look at this RK96 keyboard that Royal Kludge sent over for review. The RK96 features a triple mode connection including two wireless modes, hot swappable capabilities with any 3 and 5 pin switch, handy volume controller, magnetic wrist rest, and all that is packed into a 90% layout. But that's just scratching the surface. So let's take a deeper dive into the Royal Kludge RK96. First, let's start with what comes included in the box. Of course, you have your keys, which in this video is the RK96 in Mars Green with the linear Viridian switch. Also included is a very handy user manual that walks you through all 3 modes of connectivity. It explains the shortcut keys, understanding the battery life indicator, plus so much more. I'll try to cover everything in this video, but if there's anything I miss, chances are you will find it in here. Also included are 4 extra linear Viridian switches, a USB-C to USB-C cable with USB-A adapter, a combination keycap and switch puller, and a clear plastic dust cover for keeping the RK96 always looking its best. And speaking of looking its best, the RK96 looks amazing in this tri-color scheme. The color is called Mars Green, and I requested this color variant because I love these rich, warm green and yellow keycaps, and I thought the whole keyboard would mesh incredibly well with my new Koipon mousepad. Not only are the colors themselves striking, but its size also demands attention. When you hold it, you can feel its heft, and even though it has a plastic case, it feels premium and extremely durable. While not a full keyboard, the RK96 is a 90% keyboard with 96 keys. But with that full number pad, this keyboard will still consume 14.8 inches of desk length and 4.9 inches of depth, not including the wrist rest. But let's include the wrist rest, which magnetically snapped against the keyboard adds just over 2.25 inches to that depth. The wrist rest truly does come in handy though, providing a gradual incline with a naturally comfortable feel that doesn't shift around on your desk while you type and readjust your hands over the keyboard. Even as I move the keyboard around my desk, the wrist rest remains magnetized to it. But the wrist rest isn't the only way the RK96 focuses on comfort. The RK96 comes equipped with 2 stage adjustable kickstand feet, providing the user 3 different heights to best serve their needs. Of course, if you prefer a flat typing experience, the RK96 is equipped with 4 rubber stability bumpers on each corner of its base. But if you prefer a bit of an incline, pull out the inner feet to create a short incline, or pull out the outer feet for the highest possible incline. Each set of feet also comes equipped with rubber bumpers, so no matter what height your keyboard sits, it will always be stable and secured in place. Another useful feature of the RK96 is this volume controller and close proximity mute button. Scroll forward or backward to increase or decrease the volume of whatever device the keyboard is connected to. It even works in Bluetooth mode, so if you're listening to Spotify on your phone while typing, you can adjust the volume here instead of postponing your work to pick up your phone. But the volume controller isn't perfect. As I've learned, it isn't nearly as responsive as a scroll wheel you would find on a mouse. In my experience, it's best to gradually scroll over the controller. When you scroll too fast, it barely registers, if at all. But scroll gently, and it works great. Another small flaw of the controller is its location. If you don't pay close attention, you may accidentally press the multiply key while going in for a scroll. And another thing I wish were different about this controller is that it's made of plastic that just doesn't really feel premium. However, the last feature ends the design segment on a high note. Located on the rear face next to the USB-C power port are 2 USB-A pass-through ports. The only downside is, to use these, the keyboard does need to be in wired mode. But once it's plugged in, you can use the 2 pass-through ports for anything from charging a device to plugging in an adapter for a wireless headset. It really comes in handy when you're just not in the mood to blindly feel around behind your PC for a vacant USB port. We've all been there. It sucks. Right, now let's move on to keycaps. All the keycaps on the RK96 are low profile, double shot ABS plastic reminiscent of an OEM profile, but no official profile is stated by Royal Kludge. These keycaps are amazing, and I mean that in terms of looks, feel, and sound. Their textured finish provides ample amounts of grip for typing as well as gaming. I played a bunch of Fortnite with this keyboard, and the whole time was a positive experience. Well, except for getting eliminated. My fingers never slipped off the keys thanks to that finish and that small curve from the profile. As for the legends, the alphabet keys are all capitalized and bold and the same yellow as some of those accented keycaps. The rest of the legends are the same color, but are more of a traditional size and not all capitalized. They're all clearly legible, and since they're also colored, they don't allow any backlighting through. Sub-legends, on the other hand, aren't as clear and pronounced, nor are they as high quality. Printed on the forward-facing side of the keycaps in gray, the sub-legends are grouped together in a couple areas, which does help in recognizing them. The multimedia shortcuts, as well as email and calculator shortcuts, are found across the function keys. The missing navigation and editing keys are found on the right side of the alphanumerical keys. Even though they are facing toward you, they can still be difficult to see, especially at night or just in a low light situation since they're only gray. And what's worse is that unlike the rest of the legends, which are double shot, the sub-legends aren't even printed with dye sublimation, as the sub-legend will rub off with relative ease. I love the look of the double shot keycaps, but unfortunately the sub-legends are of a disappointing quality. Meanwhile, the linear Viridian switches are sensational on this version of the RK96. While you can get an RK96 with tactile pale green switches, they're only available on select colors, and as much as I love me a good tactile switch, I couldn't pass up this keyboard's aesthetic. And I have no regrets because these switches are so satisfying to type with because they offer an exceptional amount of feedback with a slight feeling of resistance, almost like a baby tactile bump. They're already pre-lubed, so they're incredibly smooth and quiet enough that you won't be disturbing any coworkers in the office or getting on your squad's last nerve when the match gets sweaty and you start button mashing. This is also thanks to 2 layers of silencing foam within the case. 1 layer of EVA silencer foam between the top plate and PCB, and another layer of silencer foam between the PCB and the bottom of the case. Royal Kludge say these 2 layers of foam remove 90% of hollow sound and reduce noise by 20%. This cuts out all the springy pings and hollow echoes and leaves just a clear, almost thucky resonance. Have a listen for yourself. Royal Kludge actually developed and manufactures these switches themselves, and here are the specs. The switches have an average operational force of 40 plus or minus 10, which means while most of the switches will accurately meet that 40 gram force rating, some may be slightly off, but still falling somewhere between 30 and 50 grams force. Meanwhile, the switches have a total travel distance that falls between 3 and 3.8 millimeters, and an actuation point between 1.6 and 2.4. And like I just said a moment ago, I love these switches. They may actually be my favorite linear switch yet. However, your opinion is just as valid, and if you're not a fan or just want to change things up, this keyboard is hot swappable with any 3 or 5 pin switch. Now, not only does the RK96 have 3 convenient ways to connect to PC and Mac, but it's even compatible across multiple other platforms. Wirelessly, it can connect to PC, Mac, iOS, and Android devices via Bluetooth, and it's even compatible in wired mode with PlayStation 4 and 5 and Xbox. Since Bluetooth seems to be the most compatible method across so many platforms, let's start with that. First, set the RK96 to Bluetooth mode by flipping over the keyboard and toggling the B and J switch on the back to B for Bluetooth. Also at this point, if you haven't turned on the keyboard for wireless mode, you can do so now. Once the keyboard is in Bluetooth mode, the LED behind the Q key will automatically begin to flash slowly. Long press Function plus Q, W, or E to enter the channel into pairing mode. The LED will then begin flashing quickly, and your devices should be able to pick up the RK96 with no issue. Also, the reason I mentioned Q, W, and E is because the RK96 can remember up to 3 different Bluetooth assignments. So if you assign Function plus Q to your iPhone, you can long press Function plus W to pair your iPad, and switch between the two simply by short pressing Function and Q, or W, or even E once you have a device assigned to that channel. Despite Bluetooth's versatility, I prefer connecting via the included 2.4 GHz dongle. Also, if you're trying to connect to a PC that doesn't have built-in Bluetooth and you don't have a Bluetooth dongle, this is the way to go. The dongle is housed on the underside of the case. Remove the dongle, and while you're back there, make sure the keyboard is turned on and set to 2.4 GHz mode by sliding the toggle switch to G. Then all you have to do is plug the dongle into your PC, Mac, or laptop, and the keyboard will automatically connect. Seriously, wireless couldn't be any easier. Lastly, if you want to go with the simplest method, go with wired plug and play with the included USB cable, or really any USB-C cable. I'm using this braided coil cable from Epomaker. Next, let's talk RGB, which you're able to control on the RK96 with either shortcut keys or software. The shortcut keys are the most convenient, and unless you're looking for a specific vibe or feeling like customizing, the shortcuts will probably be your go-to. On the RK96, there are 2 shortcut keys to be aware of. Function plus print cycles through the 20 dynamic backlight modes, and function plus delete cycles through 7 monochrome colors, as well as a rainbow option. The directional keys control brightness and speed when paired with the function keys. Function plus up and down arrows increase and decrease the backlight brightness, while function plus right and left arrows increase and decrease the speed of the dynamic backlight display. However, if you want more control over the RGB, as well as access to macros, you will want to download the RK96 software from RKGamingstore.com. And don't worry, I will have a link for it down in the description. Once you're on the page for the RK96, scroll down past where you add to cart, select software, then on the left, select software again to download. Unfortunately, you are not able to use the software in Bluetooth or 2.4 GHz mode, so once the RK96 is plugged in, it's detected by the software. Double-click RK96 RGB keyboard to enter. This first menu is for reassigning keys. You can do so by clicking on the desired key, then once it's highlighted, click which character, modifier, function, whatever you wish to set to it. If by chance you unintentionally mess something up and the keyboard becomes practically unusable, click the cog at the bottom and restore factory settings. That should return things to normal. I'm speaking from experience. Also, this will be where you check for any software or firmware updates for the keyboard. Alright, the next menu is where you can create macros for you macro people. The light bulb just below the macros menu is where you choose light effect modes. Clicking customize is the only one that allows you to specifically assign a color to an individual LED. Simply click or drag the mouse icon over the keys you want to select. The last menu, custom lights, allows you to select individual LEDs and then assign a light mode to it, which I think is actually pretty cool, especially for something like the WASD keys or directional keys, but that is all up to you. Now, if you plan to run that RGB on wireless mode, be aware it comes at a price. The RK96 comes equipped with a gargantuan 3750 mAh battery. I mentioned earlier in the video how hefty this keyboard feels. Well, I imagine a lot of that heft comes from the battery. With RGB on, you can expect the battery to last around 30 hours, but with RGB off, that battery life skyrockets up to 200 hours. As for me, I will sacrifice those 100 hours plus for that RGB vibe. But it's good to know that if you're taking this keyboard on a long trip and you, say, forget your USB cord, just turn off the RGB. Fully depleted battery will recharge to 100% between 6 to 7 hours. Thankfully, the RK96 is equipped with a battery life indicator system that allows you to stay ahead and keep tabs on the battery status. To check the battery life, long press function plus enter. If the battery life is at 100%, LEDs behind number keys 1 through 0 will all light up green, as each number key represents 10% of battery life. So if battery life is at 60%, number keys 1 through 6 will light up green. There's also a battery life indicator light at the top right of the keyboard, beside caps, numlock, and Windows lock. When charging, this light will turn red and enter a breathing state. When the battery is low, this indicator will flash quickly, and while plugged in and upon reaching a full charge, the light will become static. So when you factor in all the features of this keyboard, is it really worth it? As either gamers, writers, or editors, we all spent a lot of time at our desks listening to thousands of key presses a day. For me, the RK96 feels like a premium addition to my gaming setup. The feedback I feel from each key press on those linear Viridian switches feels satisfying, and the noise, like listening to a song from a Nintendo game, still hasn't got old. But beside the switches and keycaps, the RK96 offers so much convenience in the form of Bluetooth connectivity to most devices, as well as a volume controller that interfaces with those devices, and USB pass-throughs for quick and easy device charging or just connecting to your PC. While I admit for $99 there are a few things I could nitpick, such as the sub-legends on the keycaps and the placement and material of the volume controller, but looking back on my experience with this keyboard prior to writing this review, I didn't really notice any of those nitpicks. So let me know down in the comments if you'll be picking up this keyboard. I'll also drop a link to the keyboard down below. And thanks for watching. Please like and sub for more gaming setup content and tech reviews like this. Later.